Paranormal podcast contains content that might not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. This is Paranormal Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Paranorm, the podcast where we talk about all things true crime and paranormal. I'm Emily.
I'm Sierra.
And this week we are discussing one of the first ever fucking reports of alien abduction.
Oh my goodness.
So,
wow.
yes, and that is the case of Betty and Barney Hill. And let me just say this right now. Sorry, not sorry. This is going to be a bit of a long one. Because of the fact that it is one of the first ever reported cases of alien abduction. So, yeah.
All right.
Before we get into all that wonderfulness, though, Sierra, let's do our check-in with one another. How the fuck are you? that big pause. That's a heavy pause.
I'm doing good. Was pretty productive today.
Yeah.
So that's always.
You were editing the other episode. We're recording these right back to back because I'm going out of town. So.
You suck.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm actually very much so looking forward to it. So.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it for you.
Thought you were gonna end right there. I'm looking forward to it too.
I mean, I won't have you or Mags, so it'll just be me.
That's true.
And Emmett and Robert and Spencer.
Yep, and the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Gail.
Oh gosh. She's kind of a turncoat, so I don't know how I feel about her.
Yeah, she's been a lot lately.
And
And then all of the wonderful plants in my bedroom.
jeez.
Did you forget about them?
No.
She totally forgot about them. Oh man.
But yeah,
you had the day off, even though not really, because you still had a crap ton of things to get done.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I feel like, one more day, it's like, it's only one day.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it really helpful, or is it just, I don't know. I guess one day off means you only have a 4-day week. So
True.
you get to the weekend faster.
Yes.
I do have quite a few things to accomplish this week, so
There is that.
But
Yeah, no, today was productive. Today was my last day at work before vacation, so I was pretty fucking thrilled when I got home at 5:30 this evening.
mm-hmm.
I turned in my keys and everything, so I'm pretty thrilled. I have my my skeleton wine glass, aka Javier, chilling right now with some rosé.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thriving.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right. I believe that's everything. We don't have any housekeeping to get out of the way or anything like that.
Nope.
All right. Let's get into this case then, because it is a case.
Da, da, da.
Before I obviously get into the story, my sources for this week are history.com, like
Ooh.
thehistory.com.
Nice.
Wikipedia, obviously. A deep dive down into a Reddit hole.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like someplace.
And a couple more that I will be putting on the blog, so check that out. Along with pictures of Betty and Barney and of the area where they were abducted and all that sort of fun stuff. So yeah, those are my sources for this case. All that jazz. For some background on this lovely couple, they lived in Portsmouth?
Yeah.
Okay,
Portsmouth.
New Hampshire. Barney was employed by the United States Postal Service. I hope to God he was a better postman than our postman, because he sucks and I hate him. We have beef. Let's just put it that way. He's terrible.
Just the one.
Just the one. There's a couple others that deliver mail to us, and I love them. They're wonderful. They're very kind. So
I have to say that mine from back home is top notch. So.
Well, the ones that deliver to my parents, Bill and my mom, she's terrible. She, like, throws their
Oh, yeah.
packages in the middle of their yard and, like, leaves them on the side of their garage, and their garage is, like, a separate building from their house.
Mm-hmm.
So you can very clearly see that it is, in fact, a garage and not a house. And so she just kind of, like, gives no fucks. Anyway, Barney was good. He worked at the post office, while Betty was a social worker. So both of these home skillets had government jobs, and by all accounts were, like, upstanding members of their community, just, well liked and pleasant. So they were active in their local Unitarian congregation.
Okay.
The Hills were also members of the NAACP and community leaders, which goes along right with the fact that they were prominent, well-liked people in the community. And Barney sat on the local board of United States Commission on Civil Rights. They were an interracial couple. Barney was black and Betty was white. This was not common for the time because it's the 60s. And when was the Loving case finally ratified? Do you know who the Lovings are?
Nope.
They were the first interracial couple in the United States that were allowed to get married.
Oh, I do not know.
They, like, set a precedent, and then they passed, like, laws
stating
that they were allowed to get married.
Gotcha.
It was called, like, the Loving Law or something like that. That was their last name.
It's just convenient.
Yes, right?
Like, imagine if the Potters had gotten married first.
Or the Hills.
Yeah.
So according to a variety of reports, because there are a shit ton of reports, because this is one of the first cases. So, like, there's a whole entire podcast on this. There's whole entire books. There's TV shows. There's documentaries. There's so much stuff. And there's only so much that I could fit in. This is an extensive look into things, but this isn't like a,
It's
we can
all
only
inclusive.
Yeah, we can't stay here for 4 hours talking about one abduction because that would be a lot. And I can only run my mouth so much. The alleged UFO sighting happened on September 19th, 1961, around 10:30 p.m. The Hills were driving back to Portsmouth from vacation in Niagara Falls and Montreal, just south of... Okay, how's the Yankee way of saying it? Lancaster?
Oh, Lancaster.
Okay, from there. New Hampshire, so they were, like, coasting down.
Gotcha.
And Betty claimed to observe a bright point of light in the sky that moved from below the moon and the planet Jupiter upward to the west of the moon. So it was kind of like darting around just a hot bit. While Barney navigated US Route 3, Betty reasoned that she was observing a falling star, only it moved upward, which would not make it a falling star. Like, in that direction.
Yeah.
Yes. I like how you're thinking about it, like...
Well, like, upward if it was going up, but, like, behind them.
Oh, well, yeah. But, like... The way she's describing it is, like, it's going, like, straight up.
Oh, okay.
So, since it moved erratically and grew bigger and brighter, Betty urged Barney to stop the car for a closer look, as well as to walk their dog, Delcy. So, Barney then stopped at a scenic picnic area, like the little pull-offs, just south of a mountain called Twin Mountain.
Oh, okay.
So, then Betty looked through binoculars, which I guess makes sense because they were coming from Niagara Falls / Montreal, that they would have, like, sightseeing type shit like that.
Yeah.
And then doing so, while, like, looking through the binoculars, she observed an odd-shaped craft flashing multicolored lights that traveled again, like, across the face of the moon. Because her sister had several years earlier said that she had seen a flying saucer, Betty thought it might be, like, what she was seeing.
Oh, yeah.
Through the binoculars, Barney observed what he reasoned was a commercial airliner traveling toward Vermont Yeah, on it, like, traveling towards Vermont, but, like, on its way to Montreal, probably.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
However, he soon changed his mind because without looking as if it had turned, the craft had rapidly descended in his direction, which would be so fucking creepy. Like,
it spotted them.
yeah, exactly. So, this observation caused Barney to quickly realize quote, the object that was a plane was not a plane. End quote. They quickly returned to the car and drove toward Franconia Notch, which is like a narrow mountainous road type area.
Yeah.
The Hills claimed that they continued driving on the isolated road, moving very slowly through the Franconia Notch in order to observe the object as it came even closer.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big fucking no for me. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to hard pass that one.
It's just like, I'm kind of surprised that you don't want to see the alien.
I saw them. Now I want to get away from them. At one point, the object passed above a restaurant and a single tower on top of Cannon Mountain, and came out near Old Man of the Mountain. Which, honestly, what the fuck is up with the names of this? Like,
seems like really old names that nobody bothered to change.
Basically. So Betty then testified that, and this could be in one of the many polygraph examinations that she took, or just one of the many recounts that she gave.
Mm-hmm.
So Betty testified that it was at least 1.5 times the length of a granite cliff profile, which is about 40 feet long.
Okay.
We're gonna go with that. And it seemed to be rotating. No, thank you. The couple watched as it's silent. It's completely silent.
No, motor sound.
No
anything.
motor, engine sounds, nothing. And that it seemed to be moving in a erratic kind of pattern as to which an airplane or a helicopter would not be able to move.
Which I've heard a lot of
recounts of that.
Yeah, recounts of that. I'm just like, if I'm the alien and I'm driving my spaceship like a crazy person, what the heck?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just the ease of which it does so,
Because it would driver.
It would just kind of bounce back and forth, is what they would go on to say.
I don't know. I just feel like if I'm in that spaceship, I'm not driving it like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I fuck with it.
I drive
my car like that, so.
All right.
You're not even going to argue with that because that is how I drive. So.
Okay, so instead of saying that you drive like a maniac, I'm going to say you drive like an alien.
Okay.
You're going to start it. Drive like an alien.
Oh my god. There's our t-shirt design right there. Approximately 1 mile south of Indian Head, they said that the object began to rapidly descend towards their vehicle. And they were I believe it was a pickup truck, causing Barney to stop in the middle of the highway. Smart choice. The craft was described to be about 80 to 100 feet in length.
Okay.
And size, and it was a Bel Air. Okay. Above the Hills 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air. So, compared to that, I mean, that car is a boat.
Yes.
I will post a picture on the blog of this car, but that car is an actual boat. So, but compared to that, that's a big thing.
Yeah. Because, at least, 8 of them.
Yeah. It reminded, oh, this is funny. It reminded Barney of a huge pancake. So.
You guys gotta eat.
Yes. So Barney, being a no fucks given kind of man, was carrying his pistol in his pocket, and he stepped away from the vehicle and moved closer to the object. Using the binoculars, Barney claimed to have seen about 8 to 11 humanoid type figures who were peering out of the craft's windows in a way that it was seeming that they were looking at him, or they have acknowledging his presence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. in unison, all but one figure moved to what appeared to be like a panel on the rear wall of the hallway that encircled the front portion of the craft.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think I got it.
Okay. So the one remaining figure that continued to look at Barney communicated a message telling him to, quote, stay where you are and keep looking. Barney had a recollection of observing the humanoid forms wearing glossy black uniforms and black caps. Honestly, would wear.
Yes, you would.
All black everything. So red lights started to come out of the side of the craft, and it kind of looked like bat wings almost. They began to descend from the bottom of the craft. So imagine it is kind of like a pancake. And then from, you know how it kind of curves down?
Yeah.
Like a real fluffy pancake. So from the bottom of it are these red beams of light that are kind of like moving in such a way it looks like bat wings, I'm guessing.
Oh, the red lights make up the wings.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
yes.
gotcha. They're like moving back and forth, like showing them the area.
Yeah, they're kind of like searching the area. So the silent craft began to approach what Barney estimated within 50 to 80 feet overhead and 300 feet away from him. So it was about 50 to 80 feet off the ground and about 300 feet away from him.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So on October 21st, 1961, so we're jumping about a month ahead here, Barney reported to the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, or also known as the NICAP.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
The investigator's name was Walter Webb. Love that. That the beings, quote, were somehow not human, which is no thank you. So that is what, like, they're going off of. Like, these are some fucked up humans in the moment. This is what Barney is thinking. So Barney then removed the binoculars away from his eyes and ran back to his car, like you should have done fucking 20 minutes ago. In a near hysterical state, he told Betty, quote, they're going to capture us. No, thank you. He saw the object again, and the object again shifted its location to directly above the vehicle. He drove away at a high speed, which he should have fucking done 20 minutes ago. Telling Betty to look for the object. She rolled down the window and looked up, and almost immediately after, they heard a steady, kind of constant sound of beeping and buzzing, which they said seemed to bounce off the trunk of their car. The car then vibrated and tingled, like a tingling sensation passed through their bodies.
Oh.
I'm guessing that's kind of like the same sensation you get when you get shocked, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too.
Because it's not really, like, a pain, you know?
Yeah.
It's more so of a tingling. The Hills said that they then experienced the onset of an altered state of consciousness that left their minds dulled, which also happens when you get shocked. You kind of go stupid for a second, as my dad so lovingly puts it. A second series of beeping or buzzing sounds returned the couple's minds to, like, full consciousness. They then found that they had traveled nearly 35 miles.
Oh, yikes.
Right? And what were they discussing on X-Files the other day? The loss of time. So, we are rewatching X-Files together because we need a series to watch, and we just finished, what was it, Killing Eve?
Yeah.
And, okay, I'm obsessed with Eve. Or not Eve.
No.
Not Eve. I can't stand Eve. I'm obsessed with Villanelle.
Yeah.
Obsessed with her. And I'm also obsessed with Scully, because she's amazing. So, anyway, back to this. They recalled making a sudden, unplanned turn, and then encountering a roadblock, and observing the fiery orb, like a fiery orb in the middle of the fucking road.
Okay, Moses.
What?
In the burning bush.
Oh. Okay. So
Sorry,
now
church joke for you.
you threw in a church joke and I had to question it. You're welcome. So now we're going to move into the immediate aftermath of this. I have it like sectioned off in my notes.
Okay.
So after they arrived home at about dawn, remember this started at what, 10 something? Yes, around 10:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're getting back at fucking dawn.
Yeah, well.
That's lost time and lost travel.
Yeah.
Which are both things that are really common in like alien abduction stories, which is why they put it in the X-Files.
Good for them.
So they started to discuss with one another that they had some sort of like odd sensations and impulses that they really could not explain.
Mm-hmm.
Betty insisted on keeping their luggage by the back door rather than the main part of their house, which was really weird. Their watches never worked again.
Dun, dun, dun.
Little throwback to our X-Files episode.
Or X-Files is throwing back to them.
Yes, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I was saying it for you, though.
Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Barney then said that the leather strap of the binoculars were torn, though he could not recall it tearing. And the toes of his best dressed shoes were scraped. Oh, that's what I meant to say. Okay, so I also listened to an episode of And That's Why We Drink because M covered it and they did such a good job on it.
Yeah.
They get really, really in depth with it. So I would definitely recommend going listen to M tell it because they do a wonderful job.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the toes of his best dress shoes were scraped. Barney says that he was compelled to examine his genitals in the bathroom. I mean, I don't know, but he said that he found nothing unusual, though.
Oh, well, that's good.
That's something. They took a really long showers to remove possible contamination and drew each other a picture of what they thought they had observed.
Oh, okay.
Confused, the Hills say that they tried to reconstruct like chronologically the events of what they witnessed on their drive home concerning like the UFO and stuff like that. Obviously, I mean, they're not going to talk about the bird that they saw earlier. But immediately
Niagara Falls, what?
Yeah, seriously. Forget fucking Niagara Falls at this point. But immediately after they were going to like recount their events, they heard buzzing sounds and their memories became incomplete and fragmented. How fucking wild is that? So after
they're watching you.
They're always fucking watching. Hi, Robert. So after sleeping for a few hours, Betty woke up and placed her shoes and clothing that she had worn during the drive into her closet. Observing that the dress was torn at the hem, the zipper, and the lining. So that's a good many places.
Yeah.
And it's very awkward places to tear too. Well, the zipper's not because zippers tear all the time. But the hem and the lining.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about like zippers like in the 60s. It was probably a little more difficult.
Yeah.
To
Yeah, that's true. So later on, when she retrieved the items from her closet, she noticed a pinkish type powder on them. But the dress was irreparably damaged.
Well,
so, like...
she couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So she threw it away, but then changed her mind, retrieving the dress and hanging it in her closet. Over the years, 5 motherfucking laboratories have conducted chemical and forensic analysis on the dress.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there were shiny circles on the car's trunk that had not been there the previous day. Betty and Barney both experimented with a compass, noting that when they moved it close to the spots, the needle would whirl rapidly.
Yeah.
So that's wild.
Yeah.
But then when they moved it a few inches away from the shiny spots, it would drop down. Also very strange. So, now I'm going to tell you about the initial report to the U.S. Air Force and the NICAP.
Mm-hmm.
So, on September 21st, Betty telephoned the Peasy? I don't know. It's spelled like peace, but with an S instead of a C. Air Force Base to report their UFO encounter, though for fear of being labeled eccentric, she withheld some of the details. On September 22nd, which so happens to be the first day of fall this year.
Nice.
Yay. Major Paul W. Henderson telephoned the Hills for a more detailed report. Henderson's report dated September 26 determined that the Hills had probably misidentified the planet Jupiter.
I'm probably gonna say no.
This was later changed to optical condition and inversion / insufficient data. So, like,
he doesn't know.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Pretty much. Now, if anybody wants to look this up, because of the Freedom of Information Act, it's Report 100-1-61. Air Intelligence Information Record. I think I wrote that right. His report was forwarded to Project Blue Book, which is the UFO report for the United States Air Force / United States government, which I will cover because it's a big one like this. So within days of their encounter, Betty borrowed a UFO book from a local library. It had been written by retired Marine Corps Major Donald E. Kehoe, who was also the head of NICAP at the time. A civilian, obviously, as I just stated, was the research group for UFOs.
Yeah.
On September 26th, Betty wrote to Kehoe. She told him the full story, including the details of the humanoid figures that Barney had saw. And Betty wrote that Betty had included in her story that she and Barney were considering hypnosis to help recall what had happened, because remember, they could only remember such, like,
certain details.
Yeah. And fragmented parts of everything.
Yeah.
So her letter was eventually passed on to Walter N. Webb, a Boston astronomer. I got it. And a NICAP member.
Keep it in the fam.
Yes. So Webb met with the Hills on October 21st, 1961 in a 6-hour interview.
Whoa.
Yes.
Hopefully they had some food.
I'm telling you, they better motherfucking had some food. If you're going to have people over, you need to have snacks.
Oh, I figure the government should bring the food.
Yeah, right. No.
Anyway.
That would never happen.
I know.
Unless they were trying to poison you.
Wishful thinking. No, always be suspicious.
I'm always suspicious. What are you talking about?
Is it suspicious to be suspicious of something?
I think that's paranoid.
No. No.
I think that's described as being paranoid.
Anyway.
As I so like to put it, I'm a healthy dose of paranoid. Everybody needs to be a little bit paranoid. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Especially women.
Keeps you safe.
Yes. So, the Hills told them everything that they could remember with their little bit that they could remember of their UFO encounter. Barney had asserted that he had developed a mental block, which is a really good term for it, because if they could only remember a little bit, a mental block is kind of a good way to put that. And that he had suspected that there were some portions of the event that he did not want to remember.
Right.
Which is also probably true, like, along with the fact that the aliens probably might, more than likely, have done something to his, memory. But there was also probably a part of him that just didn't want to remember stuff.
Right, trauma.
Yeah, exactly. So he described in detail all that he could remember about the craft and the appearance of the somehow not human figurines aboard the craft. Webb stated that, quote, they were telling the truth and the incident probably occurred exactly as reported except for some minor uncertainties and technicalities that must be tolerated in any such observations where human judgment is involved.
Eyewitness account.
Yes, exactly. So he goes on to say that such things like exact time, length of visibility, apparent size of objects and occupants, distance, and height of object, which is completely understandable because I could not tell you how far our shed is away from us. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know what?
How many feet is that?
Yeah, exactly. It's over there. You know? So, yeah. I mean, I get that. I can probably do, like, people's height.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty okay, but that's going off of, like, door frames, because most door frames are a certain height.
Mm-hmm.
So then you judge from that. But, like, that's pretty on par with, you know, people's memories, and like you said, eyewitness accounts are so fucked up anyway.
Yeah.
So they already have people on board to believe them.
Mm-hmm.
Which, with what they had, I mean, that's a good amount of evidence.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think they had a lot to go on. Like,
yeah,
if that's what they remembered, and then that's all they could remember, and they thought that there was more, I mean, like, that's a lot.
Yes. So, now we're going to move on to a different little section.
Okay.
And that is Betty's dreams. 10 days after the alleged UFO encounter, and I'm going to keep saying alleged UFO encounter because I don't actually know. Nobody fucking knows except for Betty and Barney. So.
Well, and they don't really know.
Exactly. So I'm going to say alleged, just like you're going to say alleged for a suspected criminal. You know.
Yeah.
We don't know. That's the thing. So, Betty began having a series of vivid dreams. They continued for 5 consecutive nights. Never in her memory had she recalled dreams in such detail and intensity, which I have, like, certain dreams that are very intense and very vivid, which I really want to learn how to lucid dream, because that would be really fucking cool, where you can, like, control the dream, like, when you realize that you were dreaming.
Yeah.
But they stopped abruptly after 5 nights and never returned. Also very weird. So they occupied her thoughts during the day, which I don't see how they couldn't.
Yeah.
Like, if you're having vivid fucking dreams for the first time in your life, you're gonna think about them. Like, I still think about the first nightmare I ever had, you know? So, when she finally did mention them to Barney, he was sympathetic but not too concerned, like all men. That nothing was, like, too the matter with her, and then dropped it. Betty did not mention them to Barney again, which I can't blame a girl. So, in November of 1963, Betty began writing down the details of her dreams. In one dream, she and Barney encountered a roadblock and men who surrounded their car. She lost consciousness but struggled to regain it. She then realized that she was being forced by 2 small men to walk in a forest at nighttime, and seeing Barney walking behind her, though when she called to him, he seemed to be in a trance or, like, sleepwalking almost. So, the men stood about 5 feet to 5 feet 4 inches tall and wore matching blue uniforms with caps similar to those worn by military cadets, which kind of goes on par with what Barney was saying, that they looked like wearing the black uniforms, because black and blue can be mistaken for one another, especially different shades. And if it's nighttime and there's, like, a weird light action happening.
Yeah.
So.
And, like, it could be, like, different ranks.
Yes, exactly. So they appeared nearly human, with black hair, dark eyes, and prominent noses, with bluish lips. Their skin was, however, a grayish color.
Okay.
So in the dreams, Betty, Barney, and the men walked up the ramp into a disc-shaped craft of, like, a metallic kind of appearance. Still kind of on par with the pancake craft that I described earlier. Once inside, Barney and Betty were separated. She protested and was told by the men that she called the, like, leader, like, told by the leader of such group, that if she and Barney were examined together, it would take much longer to conduct the exams. So, that's hella fucking concerning.
Yeah.
do not appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so she and Barney were then taken to separate rooms. So Betty then dreamt that a new man, similar to the others, entered to conduct the exam with the leader. Betty called this new man the examiner. He said he had a pleasant and calm manner about him. Though the leader and the examiner spoke to her in English, the examiner's command of the language seemed imperfect and had like a difficult time understanding him. You know how like non-native like speakers, it's kind of hard to
It's like
understand.
broken.
Yes. Which is what she described this as.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the examiner then would tell Betty that he would conduct a few tests to note the differences between humans and the craft's occupants, which is, again, no thank you. He seated her on a chair, and a bright light was shone on her. The man cut off a lock of Betty's hair. He examined her eyes, ears, mouth, teeth, throat, and hands. He saved the trimmings from her fingernails. No. After examining her legs, feet, the man used a dull knife, similar to that of like a letter opener.
Oh, okay.
To scrape some of her skin onto what resembled cellophane, which is the
Saran wrap.
Yeah, thank you. He then tested her nervous system and thrust oh God, I don't like this part. I remember reading this right, and I was like, no thank you. Real hard, no thank you. He thrust the needle into her navel, which caused Betty agonizing pain, and I can't fucking deal with that, Sierra. Whereupon the leader waved his hand in front of Betty's eyes, and the pain motherfucking vanished.
All right.
No! I just want to put my hand over my belly button so bad right now. I can't deal with it. So, this is all her dream, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the examiner left the room, and Betty engaged in conversation with the, quote, leader. She picked up a book with rows of strange symbols on it that the leader said she could take home with her. What? She also asked where he came from and pulled down an instructional map with dotted stars. In Betty's dream account, the men began to lead the Hills from the ship when a disagreement broke out. The leader then informed Betty that she couldn't keep the book. So, stating that they had decided that the other men did not want her to even remember the account. Betty insisted that no matter what they did to her memory, she would one day recall the events. She and Barney were taken to their car, where the leader suggested that they wait to watch the craft's departure. They did so, and then resumed their drive. So, there's that. I'm telling you, it's an intense fucking dream.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to, like, their, so I don't think I mentioned this, but Wikipedia breaks it down really well, like this, and so does the, Histories website.
Oh, okay.
They both do a really good job with it. But, like, this part I got mostly from the other website, which I'll put on the blog. I don't remember what the name of it is right now off the top of my head, but it will be on there. So, on November 25th, 1961, the Hills were again interviewed at length by NICAP members, this time C.D. Jackson and Robert E. Homan. We're going to go with Homan. Although the Hills had noted that they had arrived home later than anticipated, the drive should have taken about 4 hours.
Okay.
So they claimed to not have realized that they arrived home 7 hours after the departure from Colebrook. Holy fucking shit, man.
Yeah.
So when Homan and Jackson noted this discrepancy to the Hills, the couple had no explanation. A phenomenon UFOologists call missing time, which we had just discussed. The Hills claim to recall almost nothing of the 35 miles of US Route 3 between Lincoln / Indian Head and Ashland. Both claimed to recall an image of a fiery orb sitting on the ground. Betty and Barney reasoned that it seemed to be the moon, which is not where the moon's supposed to go. Betty and no,
It's not
sorry.
fiery either.
Exactly. But Homan and Jackson informed them that the moon had set earlier in the evening.
So it wasn't even out.
Yup. The subject of hypnosis came up and was decided that it should be carried out in order to elicit previously and irretrievable memories. Which is, it's a very debatable concept of like,
The pseudoscience.
yes. Like hypnosis alone is already something, but hypnotic regression already is something that is so debatable, because they can produce false memories, and it could also go off of whatever the hypnotist is suggesting, because you and I have already discussed how some people are just not able to be hypnotized because of their mindset. So it's just a very, very debatable thing. So take this with a grain of salt. So when the subject of hypnosis came up, it was decided that it should be carried out in order to retrieve the memories, as I said a minute ago. Barney was apprehensive about hypnosis, but thought it might help Betty to put to rest what Barney had described as the nonsense about her dreams.
Oh,
right?
You're supposed to be supportive.
Seriously, man. But it was the 60s, so really not. By February 1962, so the next year, the Hills were making frequent weekend drives to White Mountains, hoping that revisiting the site might spark more memories. They were unsuccessful in trying to locate the site where they observed the fiery orb sitting in the road. However, they were able to eliminate several possible routes. They found what they claimed was the, quote, capture site on Labor Day weekend of 1965. So now we're going to move on to the disclosures. We're going to start with the private ones first.
Okay.
On November 23rd, 1962, so this is the whole next year, the Hills attended a meeting at the parsonage of their church where the invited guest speaker was Captain Ben H. Sweat of the United States Air Force, who had recently published a book of his poetry. Which, what?
That's awesome.
Right? After he read selections of his poetry, the pastor asked him to discuss his personal interest in hypnosis. After...
What?
Right?
Why?
I don't fucking know.
Okay.
I don't know what pastors are up to, man. After the meeting broke up, the Hills approached Captain Sweat privately and told him what they could remember of their strange encounter. Could you fucking imagine this couple coming up to you and telling you this fucking saga of their alien abduction and just that spiraling from there? Because I could not imagine.
Well,
I feel like this would be a Walmart situation. Also, I don't shop at Walmart, so I feel like that would be something that would happen to me in the Walmart.
I just can't imagine, like, some person is there to, like, to do a thing, and then you go up to them and tell them your life story instead of asking about their life story.
Yeah, so there's this one time I got abducted by aliens, and I really think you should know about it.
Like,
No, thank you.
Why are they asking this guy about hypnosis when he just went there to read poems?
I don't know, man. It just is what it is.
So many questions.
He was particularly interested in the, quote, missing time on the Hills account, which is a really interesting point to me, too, so
yeah.
I understand, homeboy. The Hills asked Sweat if he would hypnotize them to recover their memories, but Sweat said he was not qualified to do so and cautioned them against going to an amateur hypnotist such as himself. Which, honestly, good for fucking him.
Yeah.
On March 3rd, 1963, the Hills first publicly discussed the UFO encounter with their group at church. So this is, again, a year after the first time they talked about it privately. And 2 years after, no, I'm sorry, that's more like a year and a half after the incident. So on September 7th, 1963, Captain Sweat returned and gave a formal lecture on hypnosis to a meeting at the Unitarian Church. Honestly, why are they doing this at church?
I don't know.
That's very strange.
Well,
okay, that's strange to you too, though, right?
Yeah.
And you are into church,
It's
so
like for church, or it's just at the church, but it's like a community
I don't
gathering?
know. I cannot answer that.
Okay.
I do not know.
Because I can see that. If they're just
like
having,
using the space?
Yeah, they're having like a community event, but just at the church. Especially if they have like a...
I mean, I couldn't see your church just for funsies hosting a hypnotist.
Well, I don't know if it's like how big of a town it is. If it's a small town, they might not have very many venues.
Oh, true. Then why is homeboy still coming back?
I don't know. Maybe he's on tour. Small town tour.
Okay. After the lecture, the Hills told him that Barney was going to a psychiatrist named Mr. Stevens, whom he liked and trusted. Captain Sweat suggested that Barney ask Stevens about the use of hypnosis in his case. Which, again, I'm a little...
I mean, Barney's the one that didn't want to do it to begin with. So.
Exactly. So when Barney next met with Stevens, he asked about hypnosis. Stevens referred the Hills to Benjamin Simon of Boston. On November 3rd, 1963, so a couple months later, the Hills spoke before an amateur UFO study group, the two-state UFO study group in Quincy Center, Massachusetts. The Hills first met Simon on December 14th, 1963. Early in their discussions, Simon determined that the UFO encounter was causing Barney far more worry and anxiety than he was willing to admit, which goes along with the time.
Yeah.
Because, like, men weren't supposed to express any sort of worry or fear.
Yeah.
Or it would be seen as not manly. So... Though Simon dismissed the popular extraterrestrial hypothesis as impossible, it seemed obvious to him that the Hills genuinely thought they had witnessed a UFO with human-like occupants. Simon hoped to uncover more about the experience through hypnosis. So, with that said, now we're going to move into the hypnosis sessions.
Okay.
Simon began hypnotizing the Hills on January 4th, 1964. So, moving a little bit further out from the actual events. He hypnotized Betty and Barney several times each, and the sessions lasted until June 6, 1964. Simon conducted the sessions on Barney and Betty separately, so they could not overhear one another's recollections. And at the end of each session, he reinstated the amnesia. I guess to just keep up with that mental block that they had created / been given, you know?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So Simon hypnotized Barney first. He recalled witnessing the non-human figures with quite an emotional reaction. His expressions were that of fear. He had emotional outbursts and just was overall completely uncomfortable with the entire thing. Barney said that due to his fear, he kept his eyes closed for much of the abduction and the physical examination. Based on these early responses, Simon told Barney that he would not remember the hypnosis sessions until he was certain he could remember them without being further traumatized. Which is, granted.
Yeah.
You don't want to fuck up the dude more than he's already been fucked up.
Yeah.
So, under hypnosis, Barney reported that the binocular strap had broken when he ran from the UFO back to his car. He recalled driving the car away from the UFO, but that afterwards he felt irresistibly compelled to pull off the road and drive into the woods. Honestly, what?
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa.
He eventually sighted 6 men standing in the dirt road. The car then stalled, and 3 of the men approached the car. They told Barney not to fear him. He, however, was still anxious because, honestly, if somebody's gonna tell you not to fear them, you're definitely gonna fucking fear them. That's like earlier when we were cleaning off the pool cover, and I was like, don't freak out.
I'm like, that's not how you get someone to not freak out.
There were like a billion slugs on our pool cover, and it was disgusting. It was really gross and not fun.
Top notch.
Yes.
Great time.
So he was still obviously anxious.
Mm-hmm.
However, he reported that the leader told Barney to close his eyes, and while he was hypnotized, Barney said, quote, I felt like the eyes had pushed into my eyes. Like, the dude's eyes had pushed into his eyes.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't really like that description. That's like the navel thing all over again.
Okay.
Barney described the beings as generally similar to Betty's hypnotic recollection of them.
Mm-hmm.
The beings often stared into Barney's eyes with a terrifying but mesmerizing effect. And under hypnosis, Barney said things like, oh, those eyes, they're in my brain. No. And, quote, I was told to close my eyes because I saw 2 eyes coming close to mine, and I felt like the eyes had pushed into my eyes, end quote. I don't really like that.
That's not freaky at all.
Nope. And another quote went on to say, all I see are these eyes. I'm not even afraid that they're not connected to a body. They're just there. They're just up close to me, pressing against my eyes, end quote. I wish y'all could see the look on Sierra's face right now, because it is actually a mood. Right?
Like of all the things, I did not expect that.
Right? So, Barney related that he and Betty were taken onto the disc-shaped craft where they were betty. He was escorted to a room by 3 of the men and told to lie on a small rectangular exam table. Unlike Betty, Barney's narrative of the exam was less detailed as he continued to keep his eyes closed for most of the exam.
Mm-hmm.
Smart man. A cup-like device was placed over his genitals, and he did not experience an orgasm, though Barney thought that a sperm sample had been taken. The men scraped his skin and peered in his eyes and mouth, and I'm not a fan of this examination. A thin tube or cylinder was inserted into his anus and quickly removed. Someone felt his spine and seemed to be counting his vertebrae. No. Mm-mm. Don't touch me. I don't even like to give hugs.
Yeah.
Don't touch me. Betty reported a conversation with the, quote, leader that she understood in English, and Barney had said that he heard them speaking in a mumbling language. Yeah, he also understood them in English. So, the few times that they communicated with Barney, he said that it seemed to be thought transference, which is another thing that a bunch of abductees say, that it's not so much that they hear it out loud, but in their head.
Yeah.
At the time, he was unfamiliar with the word telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
Both Betty and Barney stated that they hadn't observed the being's mouth moving when they communicated in English with them.
Ooh.
Yeah. He recalled being escorted from the ship and taken to his car in a daze when he watched the ship leave. Barney remembered a light appearing on the road and said, quote, oh no, not again. Nope. That's a big fucking no for me, thank you. He recalled Betty's speculation that the light might have been the moon, though the moon had set several hours earlier, as we had already talked about. He also stated that he attempted to produce a code-like buzzing sound, which seemed to strike the car's trunk a second time by driving from side to side and stopping and starting the vehicle. His attempt was unsuccessful. Like, to see if that was the noise.
Mm-hmm.
You know how the road, what are those things called?
The rumble strip?
Yes. Okay, so now we're going to move into Betty's sessions. I didn't go into as much detail with Betty's sessions because her dreams
Yeah, she already had quite a bit of detail.
Yeah, so this is nowhere as near as much as Barney's information, but that's just because of Betty's dreams. So, under hypnosis, Betty's account was similar to the events of her 5 dreams about the UFO abduction, as I just stated, but there were also notable differences, mainly pertaining to her capture and release. The technology on the craft was different. The short men had significantly different physical appearance than that of her dreams. The sequential order of the abduction events were also different from her dreams, and Barney's and Betty's memories and hypnotic regression were consistent with one another's, but contradicted some of the information in Betty's dreams, which is, to be understandable, because dreams aren't,
Yeah.
they're fucking dreams, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
So, Betty exhibited considerable emotional distress during her capture and examination. Simon ended one session early because tears were flowing down her cheeks when she appeared distressed. I don't fuck with that. Simon gave Betty post-hypnotic suggestion that she could sketch a copy of the star map that she had described as a 3-dimensional projection similar to a hologram. Eventually, she did what Simon suggested, although she said that the map had many stars. She drew only those that stood out from her memory. So,
okay.
The biggest or the most interesting looking ones, I guess. Because I think, like, when I tell you about my day and stuff, I don't tell you about, like, everything I did. Or, like, if you're looking at a landscape and you are like, oh, that's a nice bird that you happen to spot, you're not going to tell me about each and everything that you see in said landscape. You're going to pick out the tiny little details that you notice more so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's understandable.
And it would also be a lot to remember all the stars.
Exactly. So, her map consisted of 12 prominent stars connected by lines with 3 lesser ones that formed a distinctive triangle. She said that she was told the stars connected by solid lines formed trade routes. I don't like that. Whereas dashed lines were less traveled to stars.
Okay.
And that is the recollection of Betty's hypnosis events.
Okay.
Or at least how far I'm going to go into it. Like I said, there's so much more information that I just could not put it all in here because we would be in here forever. Simon's conclusions of all this jazz was after the hypnosis session, Simon speculated that Barney's recollection of the UFO encounter was possibly a fantasy inspired by Betty's dreams. Simon thought it was most reasonable and consistent explanation. Barney obviously rejected this idea, noting that while their memories were consistent in some regards, there were also portions of both of their narratives that were unique to each. Barney was now ready to accept that they had in fact been abducted by the occupants of the UFO, though he never fully embraced it as Betty did, because Betty was on board from the fucking start.
Yeah.
Though the Hills and Simon disagreed about the nature of the case, they all concurred that the hypnosis sessions were effective. The Hills were no longer tormented by anxiety about their experience, which is
That's good.
honestly all you could fucking ask for.
Yeah.
Afterwards, Simon wrote an article about the Hills for the journal Psychiatric Opinion, explaining his conclusions that the case was a singular psychological aberration. So, the next little jump we're going to make is to the media attention and all of that jazz.
Okay.
Because, as I stated at the beginning of this episode, there is a lot.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yes. So, the Hills actually went back to their regular lives. I honestly do not think I could do that. They were willing to have her discuss the alleged UFO encounter with friends, family, and the occasional UFO researcher, but the Hills apparently made no effort to seek why can I say that?
Publicity?
Publicity. I still feel like that sounds weird.
No.
Okay. If you say so. On October 25th, 1965, a front page story in the Boston Traveler asked, quote, UFO chiller, did they seize couple? Reporter John H. Luttrell of The Traveler had allegedly been given an audio tape recording of the lecture the Hills had made at the Quincy Center in late 1963. Luttrell learned that the Hills had undergone hypnosis with Simon. He had also obtained the notes from a confidential interviews the Hills had given to UFO investigators, which I feel is like not fucking okay. And on October 26th, United Press International picked up Luttrell's story, and the Hills earned international attention, which obviously, and really fucked up on Luttrell's part. It's kind of a dick. So in 1966, John G. Fuller secured the corporation of the Hills and Simon, and then wrote a book called The Interrupted Journey about the case. So
everybody's got to get
something. So the book included a copy of Betty's sketch of the quote star map. The book was obviously a quick fucking success and went through several fucking printings. So later in life, Betty claimed to have seen UFOs a number of times after the initial abduction, which goes on par again with what abductees say, that they don't just see it once, they see it quite often for the rest of their lives. And she became a celebrity in the UFO community.
Aww.
Barney, this is sad. So Barney died of a cerebral hemorrhage on February 25th, 1969 at the age of 46.
Aww.
And Betty Hill died of cancer on October 17th, 2004 at 85, never having remarried. Right? So that is the story of Betty and Barney Hill, one of the first ever publicized alien abduction cases.
Well, that was a doozy.
I told you! I'm gonna let you guys think about that and keep your fucking eyes open. Wait, hold on. Sierra, do you have any comments on our story just now? Because it's a lot.
It is a lot, but I think, like, I feel like it's one of the more believable stories that I've heard of, like, you know, aliens and stuff. And there's just, like, a lot of information.
I feel like that's why it's so believable.
Probably.
Because of the amount of information. And they didn't really gain anything from this.
Yeah. They weren't actually, like, out there to, like, make the money about it, you know? So it's, like, it makes it seem like it's more plausible.
And, I mean, sure, they told their friends and family about it, but it's not like they went...
They didn't do
looking for the
US
recognition
tour or something like that, you know.
Yes.
But I don't know, and I feel like there's just a lot of things that line up, and obviously there's gonna be discrepancies and stuff, but
I mean that's with anything. That's with fucking murder trials.
Yeah, it's not anything to like worry about.
Yeah, or hang on to.
Yeah, so don't let that catch you up. Because I think there's a lot of good details and a lot of consistency, and even
what I didn't even get into, there's still so much more.
I like it. I mean, I think that their story seems believable.
Well, my thing is, I think it's stupid of us not to assume that there is other life out there because the universe is so fucking massive.
Yeah. To
think that we are the only ones in it is, one, just idiotic. Two, it's very narcissistic. And three, how the fuck, like, even if it's like a tiny little microorganism, there is definitely life out there. Whether or not it's coming to visit our assholes here, I don't know.
I mean, I would stay away.
Yeah, seriously. Have you seen our president?
Not even that. Like, killing the planet. Like,
oh, true. 110%.
Why would you come here if the planet's just gonna die soon?
Exactly. So, I mean, Mags is a pretty great attraction.
Well, yeah.
I mean, earlier, she's really mad at me right now, guys. So.
But, yeah. No, I enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing.
You're very welcome. It was an intense
process.
Yeah. I mean, I did it all in 2 hours, so I was kind of proud of myself.
Yeah.
because I had to go back to work. Okay, I got home from work, guys, had 2 hours free, and then had to go back to work to the same house. And I was like, I need to get these notes done because I am leaving on Wednesday at the butt crack of dawn, and tomorrow we are doing stuff. Sierra has to go to actual work. So,
gosh dang.
Yeah, but yeah, so
you're starting your vacation.
I'm starting my vacation. Super pumped. We're gonna go eat steak. It's gonna be great. But yeah, so this case is always something that really, really interests me. When I heard about it from M, because that's where I first heard about it, was from M on, and that's why we drink. I was just like, I'm sorry, what? So yeah, I find it very interesting.
I think it's cool that the first one is so good.
Yes.
The first encounter. The first abduction. The first abduction.
It's not the first abduction because there are other abductions. It is, however, the first one to reach this level.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Notoriety.
Oh, okay.
I gotcha. Because I'm 110% sure that there were probably other abductions before this.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I just think this is
the first one that's like more widely known.
Yes,
gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So yeah, that's all I have for you guys. That's all I have for you, Sierra. Can't think of anything else to tell you about it.
No?
No. I'm all out of things to say.
It was so short.
My voice is getting scratchy, so I know that's time for me to take a break. And Sierra's gonna plug all of the things in just 1 second, but I have a fucking request. If you guys have seen a motherfucking alien, I need an email, I need a DM, I need a something recounting such story, because I need to hear about it, because it's just one of the things that makes me crazy. I just fucking love it. I'm obsessed.
My turn?
It's your turn. Tell us all of the things, Sierra.
Okay. We have a fantastic informational Instagram, Facebook, Paranormal Podcast, and us, of course, you can always find all the pictures and information and sources on our blog, paranormalpodcast.com. And you can reach us through that, or you can email us at paranormalpodcast@gmail.com. And if you would love to support us on Patreon, we would greatly appreciate it. We have cool exclusive.
Oh, we know. It's not even I think. We know it's cool fucking shit.
Exclusive content on there for you. And the more patrons we have, the more cool content we can provide.
The more content in general we can provide, because we broke motherfuckers. So
yeah. Anyway, so
Sierra 110%.
If you are also broke and just trying to make it through, just if you could help us out by sharing our podcast with your spooky friends,
do it. I dare you.
And we would greatly appreciate it. We just want to hear from you guys and are hoping that this brightens your day a little bit in this crazy.
Even if it doesn't, just fuck with it. Share it.
But anyways, we do hope you guys are doing well and making it through this crazy time right now.
And if you're tired of hearing people say this crazy time, you should just message us and give us something else to talk about, because it is what it is, man.
Yeah. But if you do need some help during this time that we are in, but we do
unprecedented times.
This unprecedented time. Well, it's only been precedented for like 6 months. So, so if you need help during this time, or if you've been looking for help and just are at that point where you can't accept it, we do have resources available on our blog for all kinds of situations.
And I know we said this last episode. I just want to make it super clear. This is not in contact with us. We do not know what you guys are telling these professionals. So it can be completely anonymous. So you don't have to worry about like somebody judging you. It is literally their passion to help you.
Yes.
Because mental health and your safety overall, even if you're like in a domestic violence situation, is so, so, so important. You guys matter. We love you. And yeah, so check out those places. There are about 20 of them, I believe, on every single one of our episodes. We post it on the description, on the blog. But yeah, if you guys are in need of help, if you guys are at the time where you're ready to get help, it is on the blog. But yeah, that is everything we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening. Will we be back next week?
No.
We won't be back next week. We're on break.
Da-da-da.
Yay! So, you guys are just going to have to miss us a little bit more. I hope you guys have a great 2 weeks.
We'll be back in your ears in 2 weeks.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.